What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, I think you guys have probably heard about this really stupid and one-sided beef between Brian Windhorst and LeBron James. It started, publicly, it started back in, what was that, early March? I think it was, sometime in March, when LeBron James appeared on the Pat McAfee. Now, I think that was later March, now that I think about it. I think it was the end of March, when LeBron James appeared on the Pat McAfee podcast, and he just seemed to randomly, for no reason at all, take a shot at Brian Windhorst. Now, and many people were shocked at this. He called Brian Windhorst weird and basically said he was weird for saying that he and LeBron had been great friends. LeBron seemingly, insinuated they didn't really have much of a relationship, saying it was weird that he was doing that, which seems very disingenuous on LeBron's part, considering that LeBron publicly stated years ago that Brian Windhorst was one of his great friends. Of course, we all know Brian Windhorst and LeBron James grew up in the same town, went to the same high school, and LeBron helped to get Brian Windhorst essentially his job at ESPN. And it all seems to stem from some comments that Brian Windhorst made regarding, had something to do with LeBron and Nike. I kind of forget the details of it. I think it had something to do with when LeBron first entered the league and Nike, but I forgot kind of the details of the situation. Essentially, Brian Windhorst was correct, but LeBron being an emotional midget, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, we fast forward to now. LeBron James recently went at Brian Windhorst again when he posted on Twitter. It was a shot at Brian Windhorst because Brian Windhorst once said that he thought the Mind the Game podcast would not be a smashing success because he felt like two guys just talking basketball, X's and O's, without going more into the drama part of it, more of the entertainment side of it, perhaps being overly fawning and, not being, or keeping it real, right? It wouldn't be a huge success. So, apparently the Mind the Game podcast has entered the top 10 as far as sports podcasts, downloads or streams or whatever, right? And look, LeBron was gloating about that. You could argue that's successful, but when you're LeBron James, right, you should be at the top. I mean, he's supposed to be the star of the league, right? I mean, if there's anything that Michael Jordan is attached to, if it has something to do with sports or basketball, it's probably going to be in the top one or two, minimum, right? So it's not like Brian Windhorst doesn't have a point, because most of the people who watch the Mind the Game podcast or listen to it, whatever, they're really just listening to see what LeBron has to talk about. And they're really listening to see if there's anything juicy to talk about. Just talking X's and O's can be boring. I'm sorry, it just is. We want more of it, but if you just do that, talk X's and O's, it gets boring. Unless it's the biggest, basketball nerds. Other than that, right? So, at the end of the day, it's not like Brian Windhorst was going out here talking shit about LeBron James. But LeBron has this bug up his ass when it comes to Brian Windhorst. And I think it's because LeBron James doesn't really respect other people's it's like if you are a sycophant to him, or if you're someone who praises him, he just wants a one-sided suckfest. He don't want to really respect your opinion or whether you differ to him on this topic or that topic. He just wants you to praise him constantly. And it's just amazing to me how disrespectful and arrogant LeBron James is, because even if you did have a problem with Brian Windhorst with something that he said, with all of the praise and all of the fairness and all of the, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to LeBron James shit that Brian Windhorst has done over the last several years, you try to tell me you couldn't go and talk to this man one-on-one, or there's something that he said that really bothered you? You had to go out there on Pat McAfee show and do that? It was stupid. And even then, Brian Windhorst showed that he didn't want no smoke. So the cowardice in LeBron James to only go at people who don't really want no smoke. And then even with that, this clown still took the tweet down. I went to his page today to see if there was anything else that had, transpired as far as him commenting more on it. And he took the whole tweet down because he was getting the business from people telling him, like, why are you going after this dude? Why are you going after Brian Williams? He ain't doing nothing to you. So that was pretty much what it was. And then also, I think, too, LeBron is not comfortable going after certain people. See, if it's a Stephen A. Smith, you know what I'm saying, or, anybody like that, he'll have a problem going after you. But if it's Kale Sonnen, somebody like that, he ain't gonna go after Kale Sonnen because Kale Sonnen, it's gonna be on. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny how this thing LeBron James hear everything from everybody except for Kale Sonnen or Rick Bucher, who just went out there again. And I talked about my Patreon yesterday. Rick Bucher put out there that so many NBA players and so many people on teams, personnel, have their suspicions about some stuff that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into detail about that on here. But it's just funny how LeBron somehow his antennas never picked that shit up. But, he was there to make sure the cameras was on. It was on and popping with Stephen A. Smith, though. But anyway, LeBron's a scumbag. Brian Windhorst, you know what I'm saying? I have my issues with him. Oh, this is another thing, too. I got to talk about the LeBron fanatics out there. I remember I used to get flagged, right? I used to get flagged a couple years ago for some of my thumbnails with Brian Windhorst, right? Said I was fat shaming and stuff like that, right? These same dudes who accused me of fat shaming are now clearly fat shaming Brian Windhorst. I mean, some of the stuff they're saying is despicable, which goes to show you once again how disingenuous most of these guys truly are. They only argue or only say what they think the counter argument should be to what I'm saying. Even if they don't particularly disagree with what I'm saying, they feel like they got to stay on code. Fine. That's how you want to be. We're going to be on code. We're going to stay on code all the time. Just like we feel like, a lot of us feel like LeBron James ain't no top 10 all-time player no more. Why? Well, he's disqualified himself consistently with his actions to warrant that take. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it.